everyone. It's that time of year. NASCAR season is back, which means my 2022 NASCAR premium package will be available here at RotoGrinders. It's your one-stop shop, lineup HQ, projections, projected ownership, articles, live shows, betting picks, everything. Discord, premium channel. We're going to be running the early bird special for $450 from February 1st until February 21st. So the Monday after the Daytona 500. Once that early bird special is up, we will not be offering a season price again until maybe the middle of the year. We will have a monthly price of $60 a month and a weekly package of $20 a month this year. Couple things that'll be new this year. We're going to do lineup HQ tags for trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. We're going to have a free preview and recap article. And we're going to be doing some prize picks videos throughout the year. They have some new scoring, so I'm excited for that as well. If you're looking to play the 2022 NASCAR season, the early bird special of $450 is going to be your best bang for your buck. It will be available, like I said, until the Monday after the Daytona 500. NASCAR season's here. The Clash is February 6th. So let's get on it. And again, always appreciate the support. So thank you for everyone that's been a part of the package before. And if you haven't, I look forward to working with you this season.
Good morning, Grinders. Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. Blenderhead, Blender HD. If you want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Monday. So you know what we do on Mondays. It's Mondays with McCool, James McCool, Pay Dirt DFS, the co-author with me on the theory of daily fantasy sports. It's a 15-hour audio DFS masterclass you can pick up at theoryofdfs.com. We had Super Bowl yesterday. Did people do well in the Super Bowl? Did they get their bonus money from the sports books or whatever, props and promos and everything? I see you guys in the chat. Feel free to give me that thumbs up. Type in whatever you want there. James, as the old school people will show you, James, to all the nerds out there, the team that ran the ball more won.
Yeah, I mean, they absolutely made sure to hit the 25 rushing attempts that you have to win the game.
Right. Doesn't matter that they only gain about 1.5 yards per carry.
No. I mean, everybody was clowning on Sean McVay, who I have never said a bad thing about in my life. I have never called him a fraud once, ever, especially not yesterday. Everybody was clowning on him for his rushing acres up the middle on 1st and 10 and on 2nd and 5 and once on 3rd and 1 in the fourth quarter while trailing. Everybody's clowning on him, but he knew. He was counting them up. He said, all right, there's 10, there's 16, there's 19. We're getting there. As soon as he hit 25, he was like, all right, Cooper Cup time. Let's finish.
Now we'll remember, right? It's all a setup. It's all the setup. We forget about Cooper Cup for 3 quarters, right? Lull you into a false sense of security, and then it's Cup time, right? And then that's it. And then the Bengals, on the other hand, when the game is on the line, the person that you want with the ball, not T. Higgins, not Jamar Chase, not Joe Mixon even, but Samaje Perine, right? Trying to gain 1 yard outside of field goal range with less than 40 seconds left. The first down matters.
I saw that rushing play and I think I had an aneurysm. Like I didn't know how to handle them with a rushing attempt for the first down with less than a minute left. I didn't know how to handle that. It was like Zach Taylor had pitched a pretty good game.
No. Early in he had a 3rd and 19 draw play. So like, no, we can't. We can throw him under the bus also.
He did some dumb stuff, but I think he did a better job play calling than Sean McVay, without doubt. Like, I think he did a lot better. Granted, that game should not have been close. If OBJ is still in the game, it's a blowout. If T. Higgins doesn't get away with
it. If the Rams just don't run the ball, the game's a blowout.
If T. Higgins doesn't get away with a face mask, a clear face mask that turned his head on that 70-yard touchdown, it's a blowout. I mean, there's so many things that it's just like that game, the better team absolutely won. But give credit where it's due. Zach Taylor pitched a pretty good game. Sean McVay probably coached, maybe the worst run game plan that I've seen in a long time. But it was the better team won. And I do think that it was an exciting game. And I do think that it was good. And there were just so many things that were kind of head scratchers. And at the end, with like the Rams' final attempt to score, where it's like, okay, here's a pass interference, here's a holding call, here's a holding call, here's a helmet to helmet that like basically knocked Cooper Kupp unconscious on the first touchdown that he scored. All of it was just like, I wish that they wouldn't have had that amount of flags and like that amount of.
Well, how else are they going to rig the game?
No, I agree with that. Yeah,
I mean, come on, we all know that, because they're gonna rig the game to make sure that the Rams win, but don't cover.
Hold on. Do you think the GPP bros had anything to do with that?
The GPP bros? What? I mean, did the GPP bros have Kupp?
Well, a couple of them did.
Yeah, so yeah, obviously he was in the winning lineup. Maybe but he was chalky, 52%. I think the GPP bros, they somehow got the memo on Bryson Hopkins.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so the GPP bros actually, they struck a deal with not only the refs, but with Sean McVay to hold Kendall Blanton out of the game so that it could be Bryce Hopkins' season.
No, but the GPP bros went way under on the Rams running backs. So Sean McVay, Sean McVay tried to screw the GPP bros.
He had to make it
Cam Akers.
He had to try to make it look like he wasn't working with GPP.
Oh, he had to make it look like he wasn't working with them. Okay.
Yeah.
I have to get all these conspiracy theories. If you go into Facebook groups, into Reddits or whatever, there's always have to get the things aligned. I don't know who's working for who. I don't know if this is coming down from the league office or something. The Bengals are probably in on it, because obviously if you rostered Jamar Chase yesterday, it's like obviously that was a conspiracy against him, right?
Well, think about what it would take for GPP bros to really get paid out yesterday. And the only way that they truly get paid out yesterday is if some 1% owned, 2% owned person ends up doing really well. That's why Bryce Hopkins was the prize. That's why they worked with Sean McVay on him. Cam Akers didn't matter. Jamar Chase didn't matter. It was the 2% on Bryce Hopkins.
Did the GPP bros that had Higgins as captain, were they conspiring with the referee?
That's what I said. That's why I said.
Or are they conspiring with Jalen Ramsey, or maybe Jalen Ramsey, purposely?
No, that was the refs.
It made it look good. They had to make it look like plausible deniability.
Absolutely,
because he's supposed to be the best. Because obviously the wide receiver cornerback folks, like, you can't throw to Jalen Ramsey. It's impossible. You never, in the history of DFS, you'd never play a wide receiver that's being covered by Jalen Ramsey ever. It doesn't matter when you see that cornerback matchup. That means it doesn't matter what the projection. It doesn't matter what their price is. It could be Jerry Rice in his prime at minimum price. No, he's going to see Jalen Ramsey coverage. You can't play him. So you think maybe Ramsey's like, I don't want to look bad, right? But I have to give you this 80-yard touchdown. So why don't you kind of like tug on my face mask, because the refs probably aren't going to call it anyway. And then I'll fall down, and then you'll get it. And then we'll all split. We'll all split the 160,000 chop. Like, everyone in the game conspired. Like, everyone, all the people on the rosters, right? Because there's like 53 man rosters, and the coaching staffs and the referees. and the league office, all the people that know. You have to bribe some people that know also. So we
Yep.
got a couple of hundred people just to split a $160,000 chop in DraftKings DFS contest because it's not like the Super Bowl. It's not like you make much money for like playing in the Super Bowl or anything.
No, not really. No, I mean, it doesn't matter. What you really get for the GPP bros to rig this whole thing up, what they really got was a screenshot so that they can show that they are truly GPP bros. That's all.
Oh, so they're not getting the money. They're just getting a screen.
It's not about the money, Jordan.
It's not, well, it's about right-click saving, right?
Never been about the money.
Right. It's about the, are they going to turn it into an NFT?
Absolutely.
It's all about being non-fungible.
Yeah. But their tokens will be funged. That is the issue.
Oh, we have someone in the chat. Well, we have someone in the chat, James. 12-pack abs in the chat is making a confession. This may rock Twitter today. This may rock. We have the scoop, guys. 12-pack abs has colluded with 754 others to take down the Yahoo baller yesterday. He's part of the cabal. There's 753 people out there that we don't know about. That's part of this cabal, but 12-pack abs. We found them. We got him.
Bold of you to come out and just say that.
Right. Just
Very
bold of
you to come out and
right. To be fair, the Yahoo lineup was kind of brain dead obvious. I saw, like, I think Dean is part of the cabal.
Well, we've known that.
Right.
You've known that.
I think Dean posted that he did, well, it was like $662. Like, it was stupid. The most duped lineup I saw was duplicated 3,888 times.
Oh my God.
On DraftKings, which means if that would have won, if that was the nuts, the winners all would have gotten a little less than $1,000.
Brutal.
I think depending on, I don't know what the other paid, like all the way down the payout curve, but it comes out to like $900 and something. So that once you entered that lineup, you were in contention for $1 million. You're in contention for your best case scenario is to win $900 on your whatever $15 entry or whatever the hell it was.
That's why you and I always talk so in depth about having unique lineups in Showdown and in any GPP individually. I mean, anything where it comes down to these like very black and white, like you're either going to make a lot of money or you're going to dupe with thousands of other people. Like always side with the making a lot of money. Your EV is just destroyed if you make less than $1,000 last night.
I mean, take a look. Okay, we had in the DraftKings contest, Cal Spears, by the way, RotoGrinders founder, part of the GPP Pro conspiracy theory that took down the first 10 spots.
Possibly the leader.
Possibly the leader. Yeah, well, you're right. Well, we wouldn't say that on this show, obviously.
No.
We're on RotoGrinders. We have to keep that on the down.
Possibly. That's why I said possibly.
Right. Yeah. I mean. They sold their interest, that they sold to Better Collective. Now Better Collective owns RotoGrinders and the Action Network and everything. Mm-hmm. They have enough pull. They have enough pull to rig an entire Super Bowl game so that Cal Spears could get $160,000 split, even though he's worth 9 figures, I guess, $100 million. But you got to win the Showdown contest in DraftKings. But that was tied, 10 ways. And then there was another train, if you want to call it a train, of it looks like 22 others below it. And then there's like 5 or 6 others. Yeah, okay, here we can see 10 with this lineup. And this is the nut lineup. Higgins, Kupp, Stafford, Mixon, Boyd, Hopkins. Then, which spent $49,000. So left $1,000 on the table. Then underneath that, 21 copies of this lineup. Kupp, Stafford, Mixon, Higgins, Rams defense, Bryce Hopkins. That's 21 times, left $1,000 on the table. Then we have a lineup that was used 5 times, 47-2, leaving $2,800 on the table. So obviously, if this would have won, then it would have been a much, you would have made like $250,000 or something with this lineup. If it would have won. And it's the same lineup, but with Kupp at captain and not Higgins and Henderson in the lineup. Still with Bryce and Hopkins in it. And then underneath here, we got an 82 lineup train. Okay. Cup, Stafford, Mixon, Higgins, McPherson, Hopkins. And then we got a 308 lineup train. And this is only in the look, the difference between this lineup and the top lineup is 1.5 points.
Mm-hmm.
T. Higgins captain, but this has Burrow, Boyd, Hopkins, Stafford Cup. Uses all 50,000. That's why it's duped 308 times. Right? This one used 49.6. Underneath there's a 3, leaving 3,000 on the table. Higgins captain, Cup, Stafford, Mixon, Rams defense, Bryson Hopkins. Then we got Sassine, who has the sole 440th place lineup that still was only 1.8 points behind first. And that left 2,400 on the table with Higgins a captain, Cup, Stafford, Mixon, McPherson, Hopkins. So, like, to me, the most plus EV lineup out of this entire bunch is that line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? This lineup and then this lineup that's only duplicated by 3 people. Right? And then maybe this lineup that's duplicated by 5 people. Like those were the, and then you got the one that won because it was still only duplicated by 10. If I was making 150 lineups or something into this, which I didn't, my goal would have been 10 or less.
Yes. Yeah, that's what
so the winning lineup, I think is perfectly fine. Right. But I would have avoided the plague like lineups that duplicated 308 times.
I did not play yesterday because I just didn't play yesterday.
I didn't feel it got to the end and I just didn't feel like it.
I was just so tired.
I played MMA the night before. I was like, I'm done. I'm done with DFS for today.
I would have faded Chase. That was like one of the things that I told people to do. I would play T. Higgins, which is good. I'd play Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford. Good. I would have played OBJ and Bland.
He got injured. I mean, you can't predict that. Got to touch. No. He was on his way to 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was doing great. And I would have played OBJ and Kendall Blanton.
Bland didn't do it. Literally, Bland was sat the second half.
He got injured.
I think he had a shoulder injury or something.
Yeah, he got injured. So I just looking back at these things, like I don't think that there's any chance that I could have built the winning lineup with the way that I wanted to build because I know I would have used OBJ. Because the way that I wanted to go about things was a Rams onslaught. I want to do a 5-1 almost. I wanted to do like 5-1 with Higgins, or I wanted to do like a 4-2 with Higgins and Tyler Boyd. That was a thought that I had. I would have liked Boyd as well, but I wouldn't have gotten to Hopkins. I would not have gotten on Hopkins at all.
We look at some exposure. Can we bring up these exposures? Do we have any? Okay, it's loading slow. It's coming in. Let's see. Bryson Hopkins. Where was he? Going through. Let's see. Oh, there's also splits it up by captain. Okay, hold on. Points, 2. Captain, let's see. Bryson Hopkins. No. I mean, for the most part, I mean, we take a look here. Squirrel Patrol at 8%, Hopkins just smattered in. I don't know who didn't play. I mean, some of these guys didn't even play, so it shows 0%. It's also loading really slow. Only because it's a very large contest.
There's like 9 million entries into it. Of course, it's loading slow.
Right. But it seems like most of the GPP bros that we study on a daily basis, they didn't get the memo. They're not part of the cabal. I mean, unless you're trying to hide it. I mean, when you only play like 8% Bryson Hopkins, it's like, if it was like 100%. Like that'd be way too obvious, right? And even if it was like 20%, that would be like someone knows what's going on.
Yeah. At 8%, you're still 400x the field in ownership. I mean, that's a lot.
Right. That's enough for a conspiracy theory, right?
That is absolutely. You can't make it obvious, Jordan. You can't make it obvious. That's one of the main cardinal rules of being in the cabal is making it so people don't know that you're actually part of the cabal.
But what you do, James, it's either you can't make it obvious, or you have to make it so obvious that no one would be that stupid to make it that obvious.
Absolutely.
Like Chipotle Addict and Papa Gates. Like they're brothers, and they use the same projection models. Like it's so obvious that they'll have very similar lineups. So when they have very similar lineups, like no one says anything.
Yeah, people are like, oh, that it can't be that obvious. Like,
right, it can't be that obvious, right? Of course not.
Yep. And yet here we are.
One of the two, right?
Those two are like, have you ever seen like a kung fu movie where like the emperor, like the super bad guy, he has like defenders of his lair, and it's always these two twins that just like fight together and were born together and were raised to just fight that way. That's the Chipotle Bros. They're just like they're part of the cabal. They're like the twins that hold like the same spear, but they're different colors, and like they do crazy flips and stuff.
Is one good and one evil?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
One has a good conscience, one has a bad conscience, but they're constantly at war with those consciences because they're the same person.
So you can't tell on a given slate. You can't tell which one is good or evil. They flip back and forth.
Absolutely. Yep.
Because the good one would never. Whenever they duplicate lineups, that means the good one has prevailed. Whenever they don't duplicate lineups, that means the evil one has prevailed.
If you want to look at it, you can consider the Chipotle Bros as a representation of the duality of man.
Really?
Let's get philosophical on this one. Let's just go straight down that rabbit hole.
Derek E in the chat says my salary range was 49,000 to 50,000. I was 5.5 from first. Being 5.5 points from first, you might as well have been at 17 trillion miles away from first. I mean, it showed.
Also, I think 49 to 50 was that you shouldn't have done that. That I mean, like on a slate like this, on a showdown like this, where you have to compete with 470,000 people, and we have such a condensed ownership pool, so we knew that Cooper Kupp was going to be massively owned. We knew that Matthew Stafford was going to be massively owned. We knew that Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, like these guys are all going to be massively owned, right? So when you're putting together lineups with such condensed ownership on specific players, if you spend your entire salary cap, it's very, very, very hard to be unique with your lineup. It's very, very hard to be duped less than like 50, 60, 100 times or whatever. Just because of the way that people use optimizers, and there's so many optimizers in the industry nowadays, and the pricing was actually pretty good for the Super Bowl. It was not super tight. So you did actually have to end up making some decisions if you were spending 49 to 50, whereas if you were fading one of Chase or fading Kupp or fading Burrow or, whatever, one of these like super high owned guys, then you're going to come in under the salary cap because it's hard to spend all of it. So when it comes to showdown, it's not a hard and fast rule that you can't spend your entire salary cap. Of course you can if there's a unique way to do it. But you really have to, if you're going to spend that much, which I don't think that you should have on this slate specifically, on this showdown slate specifically. But if you were going to do that, you would have had to work really, really hard to make sure that you were getting super weird with like the 6th or 5th and 6th pieces of your lineup, or fading super high owned players, or like something. It was the path of most resistance, I think, to spend the 49K plus of your salary cap on this showdown slate.
I mean, even if you had that 308 train, like the max, if you would have won if that was the nuts, you would have weighed like $8,000.
Yeah.
Oh my God! But I don't mind $8,000. It's like, yeah, but it's a million to first contest. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to make a lineup that could only win $8,000, I can make a lineup that could win $1 million. I can make a lineup that win 500,000. So it's like that. I hate when people talk like that. It's like yeah, but I don't mind. Like with the bet, like I'm going to make a parlay. An 8-leg parlay that has a 45% hold. It's like, yeah, but I don't mind putting down $1 to win 200. Yeah, but you should be winning 800. Like that. You're describing the exact way that the more and more you do that. So for every time that you win, you can actually lose way more money than you do over the course of time. So it's like, well, I don't mind $8,000.
Do you?
Yeah, but you shouldn't be getting paid $8,000. You should be getting paid $100,000 plus for your $15 line. He had Daniel Hutchins in the FanDuel. I don't know what won on FanDuel. He said he managed to grab one of the 150 winning FanDuel lineups. So nerdy tenor. He's part of the cabal, I guess. He's part of the GPP bros on FanDuel.
Of course he is.
So what won on what was the cup captain lineups on FanDuel one? Or
it was. Hold on, somebody won in my Discord too.
Right. Well, yeah, I've read you. Okay, so you have people in the cabal in your Discord.
Well, of course I do. What do you think my Discord is?
Right. Yeah, I know. We have cabal people. Right. All the colluders. Right. How else do 388 people win on Yahoo without them all colluding with each other? Of course.
Oh, actually, he didn't take down the main one. I lied. He took down the 33. And his lineup was Cup, Stafford, Jefferson, Mixon, Boyd. So,
well, Jefferson wouldn't have possibly.
No, that wouldn't have been. That would have been the top. It had to have been something like Cup, Stafford, Higgins, Hopkins. Maybe not Hopkins because it's so soft over there. I don't know. We need somebody to tell us what the winner was on FanDuel, because I don't know, because I don't play over on that site. So it's the worst.
Someone posted in the live stream chat, which we don't use. So Cup, Hopkins, Higgins, Mixon, Stafford. Hopkins? Is that the only way? I guess that was a salary thing. That's why he ends up. Yeah, 11,200. Yeah, okay. So Hopkins was in the FanDuel winning lineup also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Cup captain, okay. I mean, he was the most obvious captain. I mean, like, to me, if anything, I would have been building lineups that didn't have Cup and captain and left some money on the table. Because what was the captain ownership for Cup? I can't filter, but what's the point of filtering by team? There's only 2 teams. So Cup would have been what, 20, 23, 2? So where's Cup captains? Where do I find that? I typically don't use. I've never used contest dashboard for Showdown.
What was the size of that contest? 470,000.
Yeah. Okay. Cooper Cup captain, 22% owned in the captain spot. 22% Cooper Cup captain, 10% Stafford captain, 9% Higgins captain, 9% Oda OBJ captain, 8.9% Burrow captain. Yeah, avoiding a 22% owned captain. Yeah, that would have been my. But he got there at the end. I mean, I would have been fine until like the last play of the game, the last drive of the game.
Yeah,
it's like yay, a 52% owned flex, 22% owned captain. Cooper Cup is not going to be in the optimal lineup. I have a shot, and then boom. No, you don't.
Okay, so if you. No, never mind. I did this formula.
Daniel Hutchins says, I mean, when your contest has 792,858 entries in it and it only dupes 150 times, it still gets you 2,000 times your entry, which is great. But it's still, you have to admit that it's still negative EV. Right?
I don't know. It's not as plus EV. I'm trying to do the formula right now. I was trying to do the formula.
I still. Does that lineup have a better than 2001 chance of winning? Essentially that would be the.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
Daniel would have to run that. He would have to run that. So that's what you have to do it in your sims, in your algorithm, your fancy system. So nerdy tech run. What is the probability of that lineup winning?
Yeah.
2,000 to 1 may not be good enough odds. Maybe it is. That's the point that I'm making. That specific lineup. What is the probability based on whatever projections and everything that you ran all your lineups through? That exact lineup. Like what percentage of the time does that lineup is the nuts? And then you run and whatever that probability is, if it's worth a 2,000 to 1 payoff, then it's plus EV. That's really what it comes down to. Like, I don't mind the duplicate. It's not like, oh, you have to be unique at all costs. Like on the MMA slate on Saturday, I played 150 lineups. I only had 24 uniques, but I had 107 under 5 dupes. And that's all I'm looking like. Like if I could get under 5s, that's fine with me. And especially on the slate that on MMA this past Saturday, it was a pay-per-view card, 14 fights, and there were tons of very heavy favorites. Like all these 9K fighters and everything. So it's like it was hard. Underdogs were projected not to do very well, which means you're more likely going to see lineups that don't leave 3,000 on the table winning, right? You're not going to see a 4 underdog lineup winning the GPPs. It's going to be mostly at most 2 underdogs, which means that these lineups are going to be more likely to be duped, right? Even with 14 fights. So like I didn't mind. A lot of times I set my salary indicator down low where I don't mind leaving 3,000 on the table. And this past MMA slate, I cut it off at 49K. I said, I don't mind mixing in underdogs because there's enough combinations that I can make that are under 5 dupes that I'll take that for 150K to first type of thing. Yeah, fine. Give me 50,000. Give me, the 30,000, 30 to 50,000. I'm fine with that. But rather than make unique lineups that give me 4 underdogs, 5 under, no one in the 9K range, because I just thought the probability of that being the winning lineup isn't worth even the unique payout for that slate. That's the main reason in MMA. I prefer the large cards where the highest favorite is only minus 200. Mm-hmm. Like when because then people treat like the $9,200, $9,300 fighters who are like minus 195 and minus 200 as like, oh, they're the locks. It's right. Like, no. On a pay-per-view card where the $9,500 female was minus 410, and then the next fighter is minus 400, and then the next fighter is minus 325, and then the next one is minus 285. It's like these guys have so much likelihood of scoring 100, 120 points, and there's like 5 of them that 2 are going to be successful, and then you're going to need them, type of thing. But on slates where the fights are very much closer, I don't mind. Like I'll leave 3,000 on the table, no problem, on those types of stuff. Even if I'm going to be duplicated more, but I just want to be duplicated under 5. That's it. I'm just looking under 5. And like I said, for this type of contest, on DraftKings, like under 10, under 20, maybe. But really, the question comes down to even with one lineup, and if it's duplicated, 15 and you get 15,000, right? Like that's 1,000 to 1. Does that lineup have a better than 0.0001 chance? That specific lineup of coming in first.
Yeah.
It could be. I don't know. I'm not saying that it is or it isn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to figure out unless you have a lineup, obviously.
And talking about MMA, by the way, it happened again, James. It happened again, James. Someone that has been learning MMA from me came in first with a 2 dupe lineup, 105,000.
You're a good teacher.
He DM'd me over the weekend and said he's only been playing for 6 months. And he's listened to all my stuff and watched all the shows and started playing MMA since the slate that I won 100K plus. And yeah, so he won $105,000 and I didn't.
You're killing the edge, dude.
No, well, it's not like I wouldn't mind splitting with him. I'm just not even having those. I didn't even get that line. Right. And then Jamie won last week and he won solo. So I'm teaching people how to make unique lineups that I don't end up making also. Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're killing the edge because now these people who don't know how to play it are learning how to play it, and that's your fault. So the reason
you don't even have to learn anything.
You're not winning that $100,000 is because you've taught other people how to do it.
Maybe, James. Maybe what I'm secretly doing out in the open and telling you about. I'm making my own cabal. I think you're on mute.
What would you call it?
The Cooper Cabal. Alliteration. What? I got to use alliteration or something.
Yeah, absolutely do. Yeah, for sure.
Right. The Cooper Cabal. Do we call it the Cabal? The Cooper Cabal collusion chat. Right. The triple C. The C triple C.
There's too much going on here.
The Cooper collusion cabal.
Yeah, the Cooper collusion cabal for sure.
No, the problem. See, the internal structure of my cabal is not really good because, like, I'm not getting any of the profit from any of the other cabal members. Like that, isn't that the fundamental of collusion? Of like we're all in this together, so we split the money, and I haven't gotten my cut yet.
Yeah,
no one's gotten their cut.
Absolutely, the idea is to make sure that you get your cut. But you're not getting your cut right now. So why are you doing it?
No, technically, no, what technically me and you have already gotten our cut, probably.
Yeah, we probably gotten our cut. You're right. Yeah.
We didn't really get a cut. We got like more of a finder's fee.
Exactly.
Not really a cut. We didn't get a cut of any prizes or anything. But these two people probably, likelihood, bought the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. It's a 15-hour audio DFS masterclass, how to think like a professional DFS player, right? Has all the chapters, how to beat any sport with daily fantasy game theory over time. Obviously, you're not going to win every slate. Has a whole bunch of chapters, 15 hours, me and James. If you like this show, I mean, you could watch 500 hours of the 2 years plus worth of this pregame show, or get all the contents condensed into one little seminar-like format.
Mm-hmm.
By getting the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, theoryofdfs.com, and that's these two people. That's so we got a little nibble, right? So they won $100,000, and we got 125 of it.
That we get to split. Yeah,
that would yeah. And PayPal takes a little piece out of it also.
Yeah, and we also have to pay tax.
And then taxes on.
We each get about like $40. But that's close to $100,000 if you think about money in terms of.
In terms of time.
Yeah,
I mean, like, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
I don't think we're running the cabal very well. we got to charge more for this then.
Yeah, we do.
This is the entry into the cabal. And Piercy's in the chat misspelling cabal. He's spelling it the capital of Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's Kabul. Kabul. Cabal is C-A-B-A-L. Cabal.
Trying to build out a quick expected value formula here for a tournament so that we can express and like really show how far down you lose value on your ticket when you are able to split.
Right.
But it takes a little bit of time to build a full EV calculator for a GPP. So
Daniel Hutchins is running a FanDuel sim based on the lineups or whatever.
Okay.
And the nouns, yeah, cabal is C-A-B-A-L. Synonyms are clique, faction, coterie, group, set, band, party, camp, gang, ring, cell, sect, caucus, league, confederacy, junta, pressure group, push, junto, camarilla.
What are we doing here?
What's a coterie? What the hell does that mean? Where's that from? That's Middle German and French. Small group of people with shared interests or tastes, especially one that is exclusive of other people. No, we want a secret political clique or faction, the cabal. So yeah, the cabal seems right. A pressure group? A group that tries to influence public policy. We don't care about public policy.
No, absolutely not.
Other than the fact that we could all make the same lineup and duplicate 700 million times for massive negative EV and still get called colluders. Don't you love to see that? When several people have the same, they have the same in GPP. Look at these 6 people, they're colluding. Like, great, yeah, they're colluding to get less money. Right.
It still blows
The
my
opposite. You're
mind.
proving the opposite of that.
It still blows my mind that people like think that way. And I wish that people would stop thinking that way because
Yeah, but that we make the money off the people that think that way, right?
I mean, yeah, but
Right. People that think that way are typically bad DFS players.
I am also in the business of trying to make people better DFS players.
Don't make those people better.
Well,
I don't want them in the cabal. I don't want them in.
I need to make some people better.
As long as they pay the finder's fee, let them pay for the theory of DFS. That's fine. That's your entry point. Don't teach them otherwise.
Oh no, it's just annoying. It's annoying to have people who like can't focus on the fact that when you are colluding, the point of colluding is to make it so that everybody that is together in the collusion can end up having a better outcome. So if that is the definition of collusion for this, right? Like, think about that. If anybody who believes in the same lineup is colluding, think about this for me. If colluding is to make it so that the outcomes for everyone involved are better, why would colluding mean that people would want to be paid less?
Yeah, but that's the problem. The people that think that's collusion don't understand expected value. So they think that 6 people sharing the top 6 spots in a GPP is them trying to hoard all the money. And not the fact that from an expected value standpoint, they're more likely to win more money by playing 6 different lineups.
Right.
Right. That's the point. So how do you explain to someone that doesn't understand expected value? You can't. They just look like, it's all the same people. Right? It's all the same people with all the 78% owned NBA players and the chalkiest lineup imaginable. Right?
Right.
They all must be in a secret chat. And we're talking about GPPs here. Right? We're not even talking about like cash game double ups, head to heads. That's even what that's like. How come everyone there's 700 people out on an NBA slate, right? And it's like, why does everyone have the same lineup? And like, why is 78 people out of 100 have the same lineup?
Right.
Like, yeah, because like, did you not get that lineup? If you didn't get that lineup for like a 50-50 or something, you might as well retire from DFS, right? Like you could like, well, how is it possible? There's 8 slots. Like, dude, well, you're obviously playing this guy because he's 3,200 and he projects for 17 trillion today, right? And then this other guy's 3,800, and you know what he projects for? 900 billion, right? And then you have this guy at center who's going to play 800 minutes and he's minimum price. So it's like, okay, you got to play that, and then it's like, okay, now you have the money. Who's the 3 most expensive players on the slate? Well, you can play them because they have the most raw points, right? Giannis, Luka, whatever. How did you not get that?
There you go.
Like, how do you not get that? Even without projections, how do you not get that? The $11 billion projected guys are in the. I can't believe how did they know that $3,200 whatever G League or whatever was going to put up 46 points? It's like because that team only had like 7 players active, and he was going to play 700 minutes, right? He was just going to play everything, right? Like, how do you not know that?
And it comes down to this thought that like I just think that people like that just don't subscribe to enough info, right? Like if you listen to anybody who has any projection system worth their salt, they'll be able to tell you likely what the
computers. I'm not going to trust a computer to tell me who to play, James. I know basketball.
I know you do.
What the computer? I'm not going to let a computer tell me what to play. How does the computer know about Jimmy Butler's defense?
So annoying.
Daniel says that his sim, he ran the FanDuel sim, that the winning FanDuel lineup was actually under-owned at 150 dupes.
Okay.
Based on his sim.
I mean,
he's ready to admit that. He's ready to admit that. Yeah, who knows? That doesn't necessarily mean anything, but
in a contest that size, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, also remember the FanDuel GPP is like twice as big as the Draftkings one.
Right. It's twice as big.
750,000 entries or something.
And it's easier to build. You should never play Showdown on FanDuel.
Right. Also the entry fee is lower.
Yeah. All of those things. It doesn't surprise me that 150 is under-owned.
Right. And then Daniel says it's even simpler. Our collusion cabal. Why collude when you could just enter the same lineup twice? Did you see that? You see the soul. You see that, James. You see the cabal's made of one, right? People that enter 150 of the same lineup, right? Those trains.
Yeah.
Right? It's like Snowpiercer. You just take the trains.
Just take the trains, dude.
Right. It's just they use the trains and they don't need 149 other people.
Of course not.
Their cabal. They'll do it all themselves.
So do you think the MLB season is going to happen?
What?
Are you excited for MLB? Do you think the MLB season is going to happen?
I don't think it'll start on time. No.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, shouldn't pitchers and catchers be reporting this week?
Yeah, I think it's at the end of the week.
Right. They ain't reporting. They ain't open.
That sucks, man. I do really want the baseball season to start on time. I mean, of course I do. You and I both, we love baseball, so it doesn't. No,
it's I think that's I don't love baseball. Just I prefer it to NBA.
Okay, sure. I love baseball. I really like building models for baseball.
Oh, but I don't build I like being able to build lineups at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, and then not have to really worry about it the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I like. Like I don't mind the Mariners. Oh, Mitch Haniger's out, and I got to swap someone now or every once in a while. Right. I don't. Okay, I'll deal with that. But do I want a late season NBA versus MLB in April? I'll take baseball.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It's like I want baseball stuff. I like baseball because I like the way that it gets built out. And actually, hockey is a lot like it. I have really enjoyed building models for hockey. I've really enjoyed setting things up and doing kind of different things. And it actually gave me a couple ideas for MLB as well. Built out some like GPP upside projections the other day, which is a lot of fun. Normalized against 6 goals scored. So I'm going to try something like that for baseball too. But I'm just tired of, I mean, NBA, aside from late swap stuff, because I had Javonte Green in my lineup 2 nights ago and he got ruled out after lock and I was busy doing something. But outside of late swap things, like it's just so much more enjoyable, I think, for me to build for baseball because it makes more sense. I feel like I have more control over building a good or a bad lineup. I was talking to a coaching client the other day about that and how baseball and hockey and League of Legends, stuff like that. Like when you build a lineup for any of those correlation-based sports and you can look at it and you can say, this is a good lineup. I think it's easier to identify good lineups in correlation-based sports rather than NBA.
Right. You're not excited tonight for Quentin Grimes chalk night?
No, absolutely never. No.
Just Quentin Grimes, 3K, Patty Mills. When Patty Mills is chalk, you got to play, right?
Well, no, not lately. Lately, it's been Cam Thomas that you should play. But it's like, for me, I don't know if it's the same for you, but when I look at an NBA lineup, I can tell a good lineup from a bad lineup in NBA. But for me, it's sometimes hard for me to see a great NBA lineup from a good NBA lineup. I think this. I would absolutely agree with that. I think it's very easy to make good NBA lineups. Yeah,
and the difference between a good one and a great one, I don't think there's that dramatic of a difference. But there's so many ways. So you have to agree with me on this, James. Mm-hmm. There are way more ways to make bad NBA lineups than make bad MLB lineups.
Sure. Yeah, I can agree with that. I think.
Well, okay. As long as you're within the construct. Okay. Let me put it differently. For GPP, obviously, we're talking about GPPs. In MLB, take out like the one-off lineups. Like it's very easy to make a bad line at MLB by just playing like just all one-offs, right? Yeah. Okay. Take that aside. So let's say if like I've told people in even in our Discord that if you're new to MLB and you're like I'm still learning how to play, said if you just built 5-3 lineups on DraftKings, you're fine. Well, when do I do 5-2-1, 5-1? You could do 5-1-1. You could, but if you're building 5-man stacks on DraftKings, like no matter what you do, like I'll consider those lineups to be competitive. So if you just want to build five, I'm going to take two teams, put 5 on one, 3 on the other, and pick 2 pitchers that fit in with salary. To me, that's a competitive lineup. On basketball, you can pick lineups that are like 40 points too low projected, like easily. By saying, I'm going to fade this guy, I'm going to fade this chalk guy, I'm going to play that guy, and then next thing you know, you're 32 points projected lower, and your ownership is like 42% total, and it's like you don't need like this is stupid. Even when I'm playing large field, it's still stupid. It's like you don't need. Why are you giving up so much project? You're giving up essentially an entire slot in your lineup to the rest of the field. But in baseball, you can even get away with that because the range of outcomes for players is just so wide. And it's so easy for anyone to just get a 0. So if you're like, I'm going to combine the Pirates with the Tigers and play the overpriced pitcher and whatever, and that lineup could win. I can look at that lineup and go low percentage outcome, but at least if these two teams do well, you win, right? Even though both stacks are 1% owned, it's not out of the question for Pirates to put up 12 and the Tigers to put up 15, and you're sitting there with a lineup that looks hella contrarian, and it's like, well, you won. But in basketball, basketball, it's very hard. Have you ever seen in basketball a lineup on a normal size slate where the highest, like in baseball, you can make a lineup that the highest owned player in your lineup is only 5% owned. You can't make that lineup
in baseball, yeah.
And I would look at it and go, contrarian, but if these two teams do well, you win. But in basketball, if you play a lineup where your highest owned player is 5%, I can't even see that to even be when is that ever a competitive line?
Right.
It's almost impossible for you're going to be projected so low that you need a miracle to make up all those points and then on top of it, beat out all the other lineups. So that's what I mean. That's what I mean by in MLB. I think it's much easier to build competitive lineups. In NBA, it's easier to build competitive lineups also, but the differences between lineups are very minimal. But it's very easy to build a bad lineup at NBA if you just I'm going to fade all the chalky players, right? I'm going to fade all the players that have 5+ expected fantasy points over salary, and then just hope to make it up elsewhere. You're probably not going to win.
Yeah. I agree with that. I do think that, no, I agree with that. You know, it's just hard. I think, especially in NBA, when you're trying to identify where you went wrong, a lot of the time you probably didn't go wrong. And I talk about that a lot when it comes to, last month or so. So the models have been running really, really well over at the site for the last week and a half. And it's mostly because the COVID stuff is done. So now we have actual samples, we have actual teams, we have actual baselines to utilize rather than just all G leaguers, which was stupid. But a month ago or whatever, when we had entire teams that were just completely decimated by COVID, there were no less, I think on one slate, there was 55 players that were plus EV. They're 55. Right.
And you can make any combination of many of them. Right.
You can do whatever you want. There is literally no wrong answer. And that kind of stuff, that doesn't happen in MLB. If you build an MLB slate, I think that you have to have an understanding and a general understanding of correlation and upside and stuff like that to build good lineups. In NBA, man, it's been a really hard season, I think, to really break down if you're playing well or not.
Comparing playing well versus what your results are.
Right.
Because that's what I've been playing NBA for the past 2 weeks, since football, the regular season, whatever ended, and I look through and I'm like, my lineups are good. I'm comparing lineups to around the sharper players, the winning lineups. It's I'm a 1v1 or a 2v2 away from the nuts.
Yeah.
Right. In every I got a landmine one in every lineup, but it's well, I still played a bunch of this guy, and that was good. I played a bunch it's easy to fill out half your lineup, and it just comes down to the variance of the other half. And then, so I'm looking at my lineups going, is there anything I would have done differently?
Yeah.
Other than I wish I would have had this comp. Like I look in my 50 lineups and I go, there was a chance that I had that winning lineup. It didn't get to get like, well, I didn't have this guy and this guy together in that lineup. And, I come in 64th and not first, or I come in, 22nd and not in the top 5 or something. And the only difference is like a difference of like 9 points. And it's a stud and a different thing. Like, well, I played Luka and this guy, and that guy played Giannis and the other guy. And that was a 22-point difference.
Right.
Like, well, I could have just made that lineup also.
Yeah. It's hard. So I finished this little EV calculator.
Okay.
I put it together. It's not perfect because I built it in 33 minutes, but I put it together for the Micro Millions opener tonight for NBA.
Right. $4 opener. I'm playing 150 entries because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's going to be beautiful. Okay. So from the start, your lineup is worth $3.28 an expected
right. With the rake. Right.
Yep. And that is with 100,000 up top. Now, this, assuming that you are just a very average player, that you have the same chance as everybody else.
Okay,
right?
so all equally skilled players, right?
All equally skilled.
Skilled lineups. Yep. All equal probability lineups.
Yep. You have a $3.28 expected value of your $4 entry.
Right.
If I say instead of 100,000 up top, and if I really wanted to do this, if I had more time to do this, but I wanted to finish on the show, I would make it so that I would calculate out the winnings if you were duped for all the payouts, but we're just going to say for the top. Okay.
Right.
If you take it from 100,000 and you're duped enough to where you are only making 20,000, your ticket drops to $2.61 in expected value. Already. I mean, you've already cut 40 cents. You've already reduced.
You cut a third of your value.
Yeah. And that is if you win $20,000. That is
right.
9 dupes, I think, off the top of my head. Something like 9. So if you get duped 9 times in this contest, you've already killed 33% of your EV. If this drops down to $10,000, you're down to $253. And remember, this is because like if I were to do this for all of the different payouts, so if you go from 10,000, the next one, I guess you'd probably split 2,500 down to like 1,000, down to 500. We're just doing the top payouts here.
Right.
If you just split down from where it's a 4-figure payout up, so for places 10th and up, if you just drop those down and cut those down to 1/10 of their value, which would be if you were splitting, say, like 14 ways or something like that, you are now at a $2.15 expected value for your ticket. So the value of your ticket already after rake was only $3.28. If you were to split this down to where you're duped 14 or 15 times, you have cut the expected value of your ticket completely in half.
Right.
Completely in half.
And well, how about if you do it even more than that?
Okay, so yeah, let's do it even more than that. So let's
split 100 ways.
If you want to split it 100 ways, that is likely going to be something like
a $2,000 payout.
$2,000 to first. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to do that to the first 10 spots again. This is going to be hilarious. Down to $2. You're down to $2 on your $4 ticket.
Right. So half the value.
Yep. So, I mean, like, don't dupe yourself. Just don't dupe yourself. I'm gonna put this back up to top, and then we're gonna play around with this a little bit.
What are you playing around with?
I'm making it so that I can make it variable. I'm sorry, this is what I do. Just deal with it for a second. Okay, so if we were to cut this down now to where you have like 200 dupes. Yep. So now we're only getting 1,000 the first. You're down below $2. You're $1.98. So like,
right. Okay, obviously it's going to be lower, right?
You can just see that like it just keeps getting lower and lower and lower, and it shows that already you're behind the 8 ball, man. You've already got a ticket that's not under expected value of what you're paying for it. So you need to make sure that if you are,
you need to make sure to win. Then that's what they'll tell you. You need to make sure that if you're going to dupe 150 times, make sure you win.
just don't build a line that gets duped 150 times, especially if you're an average player. And that's something that we don't even really talk about that much. But if you are an average player, one, you probably don't know or care about this.
Right. The easiest way to gain expected value in these types of contests is building unique lines or building more. There have to be unique, be lower duped lines.
Yeah. Yep. Because it kills your upside, man. It just absolutely decimates it, especially if you're an average player, where you are building lineups that have the same chance of winning as everybody else. You absolutely need to be building unique lineups so that you can win the entire thing. This applies more to Showdown than it does like the $4 contest tonight, but it's 118,000 entries in that $4 night. You might be duped. If there's like good chalk, you're in trouble of being duped. So just make sure that you're being unique on it. Don't play just the chalk when you enter GPPs.
And you could find out this and a lot of other game theory concepts in the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. 15-hour audio DFS masterclass. Me and James. It's like a seminar format. It's like going to a seminar for 2 days. And we teach you all the game theory concepts of playing daily fantasy sports, any sport. Mm-hmm. So go pick that up. Theoryofdfs.com. James, you're at paydirt_DFS on Twitter.
I am, and I'm also over at paydirtdfs.com. NFL season is done, but that does not mean that the train stops rolling. Still have projections for all of the esports that you could possibly need. I have projections for NBA every night. I also do a recap every single day of the projections that I run so that you guys can see that the projections are good and that they're accurate. And
it's like a little daily newspaper for your cabal.
It is. Yeah, exactly. So the cabal can see that they've bought into something that is really going to cheat the system for them.
Right.
Yeah. And I post that in the Discord and on Twitter. So be on the lookout for that and just get ready for baseball season. I'm really excited for baseball season.
Right. You can always join our cabal at RotoGrinders, rotogrinders.com/premium. Click on the link in the description. Get $10 off your first month. We have an NBA slate tonight. Give me those thumbs ups on your way out the door. Thummy thumbs. Give me those thummy thumbs. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. Got Grinders live later today. Crunch time for premium members for the NBA slate. And I will see you tomorrow reviewing that slate and answering your DFS strategy questions, as always, on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.